Well, hey guys, we wanted just to check in here with Jon Canterbury, and we're excited about a new study that we're going to be focusing on for this fall. And normally in the beginning of the year, we would typically do a church-wide campaign, but we thought it'd be awesome to encourage our groups to consider doing a study together. I just think there's a unity that comes with that. There's a chance for us to kind of just share our own journey that we're all studying something together. There's just something encouraging about that. So I want to introduce Jon. Y'all may or may not know Jon. For me, it's pretty cool to get to work with you, Jon. He was a little bit smaller when I first knew him back in the youth ministry days. So I've been around for a while, and Jon, it's been a privilege to kind of get to be a part of your life as a youth pastor now, getting to work together on staff. So Jon, real quickly, tell us a little bit about your current role at Stonebridge, and then anything else about yourself so people can get to know you.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm currently the online pastor and young adult pastor. Thrilled about that. I've already started establishing things with young adult. And as we have moved online, especially during this season, this role is moving fast and changing fast, which brings us really to the idea of working together for this season at least. Yeah. But let's see. I'm married for 11 years now. I have 2 kids who are fantastic and drain all of our energy and resources, as all children should. But that's probably me in a nutshell. I grew up here. I love this church. This has been my prayer forever. So just excited.
It's awesome. And so, you know, one of the fun things about our small groups ministry at Stonebridge is the opportunity to partner with lots of different people. You know, for instance, we've got, Bob and Norma Koenig who are working with us with our leadership development. And one of the things that you may or may not know about Jon, but I know Jon, knowing you, he is really, really passionate and loves being able to dig into God's truth and be able to help connect the dots, but also look into the details of things and to bring out nuances and different things that you can easily miss just from a casual reading of Scripture. And so I've asked Jon to partner with us to help bring about a study, a video-based study for this fall. So Jon, tell us a little bit about kind of the direction we're wanting to go with this study, and maybe give us a little bit of a summary on where we're going to go.
Yeah. I'm actually real excited about this, just being part of the conversation, doing it. The study kind of came to life quickly for me, especially when Brian and I were really getting on the same page quick about where people are at in this stage of life. But for us, we realized that with the challenges of COVID, in all honesty, we live in unprecedented times. Most of us feel like there's something novel going on right now, something the church is having to respond to, something we're having to respond to in ways that we've never had to think before. And as we looked at that and we thought through that, hope became one of the big things that we began to focus in on, just because, again, what does it look like to do ministry? What does it look like to live and actually live out the gospel in this state of life? And so we kind of took that forward and said, what if we focused in on this? And as Brian talked about those nuances, that gave me life when I got to college. It was something that I picked up on here in the youth ministry. But as I began to look at what we call the meta-narrative, that big story, and then be able to dive in, I thought it would be cool to look through the story of Scripture from Genesis to Revelation and pinpoint some of those hard, hopeless moments in Scripture. Yeah. And then really zero in both on 2 things. Number 1 is God's response to the hopelessness of a situation. But then number 2 is the people in those times. What did they go through? And then what were they called to out of that? And so that's really, I would say, at the heart of this is hope in that hopelessness.
Yeah, I love that. And I know, Jon, we've talked about there's so many paradoxes in Scripture, right? With just, you don't have faith unless it just seems like an impossible situation. You don't really understand hope until you feel you're in a hopeless situation, right? Tell me more a little bit about that idea.
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite concepts right now to look through. This comes from G.K. Chesterton, and he argues that Christianity is the only religion to be built off paradox. And so you can look at that doctrinally from things like Christ being God and man, God being 3 in 1, or even scripturally with the character of God, right? And so we talk about faith, love, and hope are the 3 characters we build our relationship off of. As Brian said, hope comes out of states of dire situation where we really shouldn't have hope. Yeah. We only love people who, in all honesty, aren't worthy of love. That's the gift, the charity of love. If they're worthy of it, it's admiration, it's glorifying, but it's not really love. Right. And then finally, that one with faith, right? Like faith comes from a place where we shouldn't have trust, where we don't understand why there's easy trust. And faith builds upon a sense where trust is hard, and we begin to understand and trust from character in God. And so looking at that, I think we feel often in a state of hopelessness today, which goes back to that paradox, right? That idea that I would argue Christianity was birthed from times like this and was built for times like this. And that's something I hope we highlight in the study.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see, John, as as you unpack these different stories throughout the meta-narrative, the big story, is they might have happened thousands of years ago, but there's so much that relates to a lot of the things we're going through now. We live in a different time of history and different with technologies and things, but what they felt, those hopeless moments they were facing, even, everything they'd known, like the exile period. I mean, there's so many things in Scripture that I think we're going to find, wow, I can really relate to that in what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Hey, we're really pumped about bringing this to you, and I hope that your group will consider doing this for your fall study. God bless you guys.